India has decided to seal off its maritime borders after intelligence inputs that Rohingya refugees may enter into the country through sea routes, says a report. The intelligence agencies have warned that Rohingya refugees may sneak into Indian territory through Bangladesh waters or from Andaman and Nicobar Islands via Myanmarese waters. Reports suggest that maritime surveillance and aircraft and overcraft are there patrolling the sea borders in the entire region to prevent the influx of Rohingyas. The Indian government have dubbed Rohingya refugees living the countries as a major national security threat. Hundreds of thousands of Rohingya Muslim refugees have fled violence and persecution in Myanmar's Rakhine state. Nearly 400,000 Rohingyas have taken refuge in Bangladesh areas bordering Myanmar. And for more on this story, I am joined by my colleague, senior correspondent Ramesh Ramachandran from the newsroom. Ramesh, good morning, and thank you very much for joining me. So India decided to take a very clear stand when it comes to the Rohingya. No refugee trying to sneak into India illegally will be allowed.
Indeed. Good morning, Daniele. That seems to be the message from the Indian government, at least thus far and no further. Already we've seen almost 40,000 Rohingyas living in India at various parts, including the capital, New Delhi, in Hyderabad, in the northern Indian state of Jammu and Kashmir, especially in Jammu. So this should be seen as a precautionary measure in light of the more than 400,000 Rohingyas who have since fled Myanmar into neighboring Bangladesh and onwards, possibly into India. Remember, violence broke out on the 25th of August, and since then we've seen hundreds and thousands of Rohingyas fleeing Myanmar, the ethnically tense state of Rakhine in Myanmar, and entering Bangladesh, especially in the areas in Cox's Bazar and other neighboring towns and cities in Bangladesh. That is putting a strain on Bangladeshi resources in particular, and Bangladesh has in recent times asked India for succor, for help, for assistance to bring medicines, food and water supplies to the needy population. And the most recent decision of blocking our maritime boundaries should therefore be seen in that context of the influx of Rohingyas into India via Bangladesh and through the overland and also the sea route.
And Ramesh, India is labeling the Rohingya possible entry as a national security threat. But for the time being, we only know that there was one attack carried out by the so-called Arakan Salvation Army on the 25th of August against the Myanmarese army. Why is India so concerned about the hundreds of thousands of Rohingya fleeing violence in Myanmar?
Very interesting question, Daniele. One should look at it in two parts. One, as a humanitarian issue. The second is that of a security issue. Now, India sees the illegal immigrants as a national security threat, especially in light of reports of the involvement or complicity of foreign intelligence agencies who have tried to lean and wean some of the Rohingyas away from their natural habitat and also use them as to further their activities against India in particular. So if you remember the case that is pending before the Supreme Court of India, Indian government says they are illegal immigrants and therefore should be treated as such and should not be seen as refugees or asylum seekers. But the other side of the picture of the debate, Daniele, is that this is a humanitarian issue of immense proportion. It's taken a human toll beyond imagination, especially of the persecuted minorities in Myanmar, namely the Rohingyas, and therefore to that extent one should strike a balance between national security and humanitarian interests.